Okay, so all of these 4 boards right here are less than $100, and that qualifies them as cheap boards. And they all have one major issue that they all share in common. Their bearings. Let me explain a little more. So right here we have a $140 Landyachtz cruiser board, and right here we have a $80 Plation cruiser board. First we're going to test out the $80 board. We're going to give it one push and see how far it goes up this hill. Now, initially you might not think that this is a whole lot of distance because, well, it's not. It's really not that lot of a distance, but let me do another test just to show you a different way of looking at this. So now you may be getting it. These make a significant difference in the speed over the cheaper bearings. Why might this actually be important? So here's the thing about that really small test. Obviously this was at a very slow scale as far as speed goes. I only did one little push across the driveway to get speed, but you can already see just from that one push that there's a significant fall off in distance traveled over time from the 2 boards based on the bearings. The fact that this time is already pretty significant based on just one push to get speed is pretty important, because once you start pushing more than once, say 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and you start building up that speed and momentum, the speed fall off is going to increase as well. And when you have bearings that are really cheap and not good quality, that speed fall off is going to be drastically faster than more expensive and better bearings. Now, why exactly does this matter? Well, to put it simply, it's an argument over the amount of work you put in and what you get out of that. For slower bearings on cheap boards, you're going to have to put in a lot more foot power and pushing to keep up with a board that has better bearings to go the exact same distance. You're going to be working 2 times, maybe even 3 times or more harder than the person next to you that has the better bearings. And here's what I really don't understand about all these companies out here doing this stuff. Good bearings only cost about $20, maximum. $20, maybe $25, but Bones Red bearings, $20. So it's not that significant of a price increase, because a lot of these cheap bearings, they're going for like $8, $12. So an extra $10 for your cost to get a board that performs 2 times or potentially 3 times or more better, it just seems kind of like an odd choice to me, that's what they would cut their spending on. And here's the thing, that's not to say that bearings are the sole thing that makes these boards bad. There's a lot of factors that go into cheap boards and how they're different than more expensive boards, such as the flexiness of the deck. It's usually a lot more stiffer. The trucks, they're usually lower quality. The wheels tend to be more grippier, which is not always the greatest thing. Why is this lighting so bad? There we go, that's a little better. But yeah, there's a lot of things that go into them. Not just the bearings, but I will say that out of all the tests that I've ever done so far, which is quite a few, the bearings seem to be the biggest thing that holds back all of these boards. I can live with grippier wheels, I can live with lower quality trucks, I can live with a stiff deck if the other parts make it okay. But the bearings, it's just a huge letdown for me. Take this board for example, right here. This is a longboard that I recently got sent by a newer company called Whole Longboards. Review will be coming soon, but I haven't had enough time to test it out. But I will say, 2 things I instantly noticed about this thing is the concave is really whack, not sure how I like it, and the bearings are pretty slow. And here's the thing, honestly, I would be able to deal a lot more with this sucky concave, at least in my opinion, and the foot cramps I could potentially get from it if the bearings were good. Because if this thing's going fast, I'm not going to need to push it as much, and therefore, I'm probably not going to have as much of a strain on my feet, because it's just going to be rolling faster. But because the bearing sucks so badly, like all these cheap boards, I would never want to use this thing, honestly. I just wouldn't, because it's so slow. So that's like my biggest gripe with these things, I feel like. And there's only a few circumstances where I think that cheap bearings are actually acceptable. There's I would say there are 3 different things I can think of right now. So number 1 would be skateboard decks. Most people that buy a skateboard deck buy it to do tricks, ramps, go to skate parks, stuff like that, right? And for most of that stuff, I'm not saying all of it, but for a lot of it, you don't need the fastest bearings because you don't need to be going that fast to do a lot of these tricks. Not always. There's obviously cases where it can help to go fast, but for the most part. The second case would be longboard tricks. Not longboard dancing, don't get that confused. Longboard dancing probably helps when you can go faster and sustain speed for a longer distance. But for longboard tricks and stuff, you know, tiger claws, demon claws, no complies, big spins, all that kind of stuff, speed's not going to be the biggest deterrence for that. I'd be fine with slower bearings, you know, if the tails were raised on a board and it was designed for tricks. And the third case, I would say, this one is pretty specific, but it would be some kind of board like this right here, this little egg board. I have a review on the channel you can check out. This thing is tiny and I wouldn't want it to be going really fast because I would probably fall off and die, to put it lightly. So I'm fine with slower bearings on that because I'm not using that to be going fast. But for any other board, cruiser boards, longboards, you know, pintail longboards, drop through longboards, top mount longboards, any kind of boards like that, you have to have fast bearings. You just have to. So I hope there's companies out there listening to this and decide to make a change because seriously, if you can add an extra $10 to your board cost with your bones bearings, I would 100% be willing to pay $10 more, and I think a lot of people would if the board performs fast and it feels like a fast board in terms of being able to sustain speed. That's pretty much all I have to say for this video, but I do want to set the camera down, so give me a second. So to conclude, what does this mean for people looking to actually purchase one of these boards, not just the companies? If you're looking to purchase a longboard, I have 2 options for you. Number 1, go big or go home, which means go buy a very expensive longboard that's high quality and is going to last you the next 10 plus years. You won't regret it, and you'll have a lot of fun with it. That's what I did with my loaded Tien. I bought it for about $250 new. It was on a good deal. It's now about $330, I think. Still a good deal. I've had it for over 3 years now, going on 4. It almost looks the same as it did when I first got it. Still holding up, feels the same. It's awesome. Option 2 would be for those of you that aren't certain that you want to do this sport all the time, but you do want to try it out, and that would be buy a cheaper board and then also spend extra money on bones bearings, an extra $20. And it's going to take your riding experience from here to here higher, honestly. They make such a difference. And now for companies listening in on this, let me tell you something right now, okay? We don't like slow boards. Nobody likes a slow board. If we're buying a longboard that's advertised to be a cruising board, we're not going to want it to be slow, okay? So with that being said, spend the extra money to get good high quality bearings. Don't buy cheap no-name brand bearings. Get some Bones Reds. Get some Landyachtz Spaceballs. Get something good like that, and we're all going to be better off for it. You're going to get more sales because more people like it. We're going to be happy with your board because it goes fast. Anyways, if you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up, leave a comment if you have anything to add to this discussion, and if you really liked it, I'd appreciate you hitting the subscribe button. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. Stay stoked, stay awesome. We out of here. Next video on Saturday. See you then. Peace out.